All right, we're here. We're live. Hey, everybody. This is Matt
Live for
Fair.
real. This is Brandon Thomas. So we were trying to figure out there's a way for to go live on Facebook and add people into your screen. I guess since you're on a desktop, maybe that's why it's not working. So when I went live during one of the protests, it was saying add so and so to your live, and I was like, oh, that's cool. That's something Instagram has, and so I guess Facebook has to keep up, even though I guess they own Instagram now. But yeah, so that it was a cool little feature. It didn't work out this time because I'm more mobile, you're more computer, so a little bit pop rock and roll kind of thing. But yeah,
I can do mobile stuff. But yeah, I'm not familiar with the Facebook Live just yet, but I do see there's like an option to create a room.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so, I mean, that might be neat. I do know, Facebook is definitely saw what was happening with Zoom and some other companies and said, I got to have a piece of that.
yeah,
But
absolutely, yep, 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 yeah. Benefits us as
anyway,
candidates a little bit.
what's that you say?
I said it benefits us as candidates, so we have a lot of free options to, connect with voters, talk to our volunteer team. You can create a little room, and talk that way, and you don't have to worry about limits because with Zoom there's like a time limit, right? So,
Oh, okay.
um, yeah, so there's like a 40-minute time limit if you have the free version. So,
Okay.
yeah, it gives us some options. I know Google Meet is free until October, and so that's what we've been using to talk to folks. And so, yeah, like, hey, let's utilize these free services while we can.
Yeah.
Granted, free's not free. They're probably collecting data on us to figure out how to make everything better. But in trade off.
Yeah. Just all these details about my life I don't want
Yeah, yeah,
advertisements to know. But
yeah.
it is what it is. Yeah, we're lucky. I mean, it definitely is not fun campaigning during, COVID pandemic. At the same time, we're lucky that we have all these tools at our fingertips,
Right.
more so than ever before. I mean, I'm just thinking about doing webcam stuff 10, 15 years ago
Oh my gosh, that would be
was,
horrible.
was
Horrible.
not like today.
Horrible.
So,
I remember like way back in the day, like watching a Call for Help. I don't know if you were familiar with that. It was like one of like the tech networks, and you just like in like 96, 97, and then like webcams then, and then like you'd be astonished when somebody has a really good webcam.
yeah,
Now everything's different where yeah, everybody can have a solid webcam, even on your phone. So things are just so different now.
right. Yeah, doing photography and videography, um, people definitely hire me for my services because they realize the limitations of their mobile phones. At the same time, some people don't feel like they have to hire a professional because they have a
Uh-huh.
camera at their fingertips. So
Uh-huh.
it's a double-edged sword.
Uh-huh.
But it's interesting to see, some people who maybe weren't as media savvy a couple of years ago are a little bit better at it now.
Yep.
Um, and anyway, no one wants to hear us talk about this crap.
You like my quarantine hair,
Yeah,
my quarantine beard.
looks good.
I
It looks good.
Yeah. Well, I think I need to go get it cut. I keep getting, when I go to Walmart, I keep getting men randomly coming up to me giving me their business cards for haircuts. So I think it's
Yeah,
I think it's time,
yeah,
since everything's open, let me just go get a haircut and reduce my risk as much as possible. But I'm tired of getting cards. Hey, you need your haircut
yeah.
randomly at Walmart.
No,
uh,
the
so-
place I go to, they opened up recently, and I went in there and they're doing the social distancing thing. They're not just cutting hair, right next to
uh-huh,
each other, and
uh-huh.
they're all wearing masks, and they're all like, "Please wear a
Okay,
mask. We have free
okay,
masks for you to wear." So,
okay, okay.
so I
That's
was
good.
glad that people were doing it safely. But Brandon,
Yes.
how you doing? How's your campaign going? Tell me
It's
about it.
go- it's going good. So we are we have contacted, we've called. I don't know what the official thing is, I guess it's so boring. Matt just left. We've contacted,
Go ahead.
we've
Go
called over 700
ahead.
people, less than a month of actually really making phone calls. And it seems like a lot of people are just, just kind of like, I don't know, in the middle in terms of like what's going on in their life. Cause, we're asking like, hey, how are you doing? What issues are you concerned with? And, people are just kind of, we're pretty solid here in 49 in terms of like COVID situations. Of not a lot of folks having real, big issues. A lot of folks are able to work from home because we have the technology to do so. It seems like people still want change. When I tell them about my platform and what we're going to do, we're going to be fighting for everybody, no exceptions, fighting for a family-friendly economy, no exceptions. People really dig that. They really want Medicaid expansion. I haven't had any pushback, so it seems like this election, in terms of our campaign, is just going to be making sure we touch the people we need to touch, because they're definitely folks that are down with our message. And once they find out what my opponent's been doing and voting for Nathan Bedford Forrest, I don't think they're going to see him as a viable solution.
Right. Well, I mean, even Republicans can't stand him at this point. So, I mean, he's very vulnerable, and that seat is, one of the most flippable districts in the state.
Yeah.
So it's very exciting what's going on
Yeah.
with that race.
Yeah. So go to votebrandonthomas.com
Yeah.
to donate, because we need to win this. We can win this. And, I really, honestly believe this is just going to come down to getting ourselves in front of people, period. Because the phone calls we've been having, people are interested. We have a lot of undecided, which I think is good, right? It means that the other side has not touched these people. They're fairly new registered voters. They're more than likely going to go out and vote this November of all what's going on, because they seem like voters that are very like, yes, I'm definitely going to vote. I just don't know who yet. And so that I see that as an opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we have we've contacted people that, they're like, oh, I forgot I even registered to vote. And we've contacted people that I just contacted a guy today who was like, I'm really trying to educate myself on the issues. He was like, I didn't realize that, down ballot races were a little bit more important than presidency.
Right.
And so, yeah, he had said that. I didn't coach him or anything. He said that. And I was like, absolutely. And that's why I need your support.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he sent me, like I said, he really liked our message. And so he was like, I'm going to look you up a little bit more, but he was like, I'm definitely leaning towards you. And this is somebody who probably has maybe only voted once or twice, if that, in their lifetime. So there's just a lot of opportunity
Yeah.
in this district in terms of folks that are just going to go out and vote, that may only vote in general elections. So we're talking to everybody. I know some campaigns focus on just talking to Democrats or talking to folks in the middle. We're talking to everybody. We're
Right.
talking to everybody. Like we can't leave any stone unturned. We need to call everybody and see what their issues are, what they're concerned with, and tell them what we're going to be fighting for when we win.
Right.
So how about yourself?
Yeah, it's going good. It's going good. We've of course had problems with the COVID-19. Can't get in front of people like we want to, but we're working around that. And there are some party events that are going to happen later this summer, under pavilion, outside, little picnic kind of thing. Try to do it as safe as possible, of course, but we definitely want to get some FaceTime in front of people, even if it's with a mask on our face. We definitely want to get some FaceTime with some folks. So we're just trying to work on how to best to do that kind of stuff. But today I went to Nashville, and I participated in the Workers First Caravan. It was something that they're doing across the country. Actually, unions are doing it across the country. And so this one was organized by union leaders, Central Labor Council and AFL-CIO and SEIU were all out there. And it was a good event. I mean, we had more than 50 cars. I don't know how many people we had exactly. Yeah. We had a real caravan, and we went through the Gulch, and then we went around the Capitol, and we saw the protesters out in the Capitol. Justin Jones was there. He was back.
Okay, yeah.
He was back.
Yeah. Did you see that? Did you see the video of him next to Bird?
Yes,
that's like gold. That is like, you cannot make this up. Like it's just like, this should be on The Office. If they do a reboot, this has to be a scene in The Office, because that's what it felt like. It was amazing. It was a great opportunity. That juxtaposition, it was everything. It gave me life.
No, that was great. That was wonderful. And I mean, it was good to see that there's still people out there and they're not giving up the fight, and they'll be out there the next day and the next day. So, I mean, it's good, and it needs to happen, because the State House is in there right now, not doing the people's work, doing their own thing.
Voting against a resolution to memorialize a Black teenager that died. Like, well, that's ridiculous. Yeah, like, man, you had like 40 something people present not voting.
Yes,
that's a no vote. Like, I don't know if they don't understand that, but if you do that, if you use that, you're saying, no, I'm not voting.
Mm-hmm.
That's a no. And so a resolution will fail, and that resolution failed. And it seems like the Senate did their due diligence. They passed the resolution, and they had like a moment of silence today. And I just can't. The House is the wild, wild west, I guess. And so when we get elected, we need to recognize the House is the wild, wild west. There's a lot of sausage making. It's kind of, I was telling Michael, like, when we win, I'm going to do a TikTok to Will Smith's Wild, Wild West and get all dressed up. So that is going to be an incentive for folks to help make phone calls, so we can make a video, because that's what it really seems like. It is bananas in there, and we are crazy enough to get elected to go in there and clean it up.
Well, you just brought up the resolution to honor the 17-year-old girl who was shot and killed. Somebody brought up. Someone who works for the Democrat senators brought up that these resolutions are pretty routine. They're pretty, standard stuff, right? They're just resolutions declaring that we love somebody, and the Republicans love to do it. They did it recently. They put a resolution to recognize CNN and Washington Post as fake news. Remember that one?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember that. Yeah. Good old. Yeah. This year. That was this past year. Yeah.
That was this year.
I can't even say it was the good old days. It was, it was like 3 months ago.
A couple months ago. Yeah. They passed a resolution congratulating President Trump on his acquittal.
Okay.
For being impeached.
Okay.
Because that's something that should be congratulated, right?
Yeah. That's important to all Tennesseans, right? That's putting food on the table right there.
And the same lawmakers, they also who killed that bill to honor that girl, they also they passed one honoring Rush Limbaugh, who is not an honorable man, is a scumbag. He said awful things throughout the years. He's a hate mongerer. I don't think I have to tell you that, but he's a disgusting person. And to call a resolution to honor him is absolutely disgusting and a waste of time of our state house. But they felt like, killing this resolution to honor this girl, that was a big deal. They had to do that, right? Why is that? Why is that exactly?
Right. So she was part of the LGBT community. So that's one thing. It's just so weird too to have this backdrop of these protests that say Black Lives Matter, and she's Black as well. it's just so bizarre. Like this is just weird. Like why not just pass the damn resolution and and
Yeah.
have her family have her community have that as as some kind of closure. And and go on about other business. This didn't have to blow up like it blew up.
Right.
This is
This shouldn't be controversial,
yeah,
really.
yeah,
Right? We're not
yeah,
asking them to do things that they need to be doing,
yeah,
like quit the overfunding of our law enforcement and start investing in our communities properly.
right,
Uh, that's what they need to be doing, but they're
right.
not.
They're
Uh,
not.
I had David Settles on here recently, and we talked about certain things policy wise that our legislators could be doing. And one thing that we talked about before is ending cash bail. I know that's a big issue for you.
Yeah, yes, it is. Absolutely. Should have had me on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, tell us a little bit. That's a big issue for you. Tell me what.
Yeah. Yeah. So, our like kind of going with our theme of creating a family friendly economy that works for everyone, no exceptions, is ending cash bail. And, we know that people get arrested for many different things, right? We see that happen this week that, Justin Jones gets arrested and, so say for example he was somebody that nobody knew out protesting peacefully. The police for whatever reason want to arrest him. They arrest him, they book him. Now he's in the system where he has to get bonded out of jail.
Mhm.
So you can either you go through a bail bondsman or you can pay it yourself. If you can't afford either option, then you're stuck in jail until your court date. So,
Right.
yeah, and so for folks that get arrested for nonviolent offenses like protesting, I believe they should not be sitting in jail. Period. Especially with COVID, I think it's more imperative to keep our jails as empty as possible. So for these nonviolent offenders, we need to obviously book them, set their court date, and say go home. And
Yeah.
you have people sitting in jail and then they lose their job, they lose their car, they're the sole breadwinner or what have you in their family, and so you have that issue come up as well. And they have to wait months until their court date.
Right.
Yeah. So that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And so that only affects poor people. It only
Mhm.
affects working class people. Rich folks, they can hire the lawyer, they can bond themselves out and do what they need to do to get out of a legal jam.
Mhm.
Folks like you and me can't do that.
Right. No, that's a very good point. And it's a cycle that can happen, right? Somebody they're the sole bread winner for their family. They have one car that they can use, and the tail light is broken. They didn't see
Yep.
it.
Yep.
They pulled over and they get written a ticket. They can't pay for it, and so it starts this chain of events where they get their driver's license taken away or suspended.
Yeah.
Um,
And you're driving on. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yep.
right, putting them more at risk. Hey, I probably shouldn't be driving, but I need to go to work and make
Yeah.
money so I can pay this off and make sure that my kids eat.
Yeah.
But we also talked about PCC. I know you're familiar with this, the
Uh-huh.
Providence Community Corrections. I think that's what it stands for.
Actually, I'm not too sure on that. Actually.
It's the probation company.
Okay. Okay. Oh, we have talked about this. Yes. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, the
Okay.
private probation company who was run by a judge's daughter, and it wasn't found to be illegal, but they were taking a court over it in a federal court over it, and they decided to disband the private probation company. But what they found was for people who couldn't afford their fees, they were getting locked up. So
Mhm.
we're talking about low-level offenses. Your tail light is broken, or maybe it's a low-level drug offense, or maybe
Uh-huh.
it's public drunkenness. That happens at times.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, those people are now criminalized.
Yeah.
They're in a system that they can't get out of, and if
Yeah.
it gets worse and worse and worse for them, their job prospects suffer.
Yeah.
The way that they can earn money suffers. Their livelihood suffers.
Right.
And so it's just, you know, growing up, you were told that we have prisons because we have to keep bad people in there, but that, you know, people are released and that they're rehabilitated, right?
Uh-huh.
They're
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
rehabilitated, they can go
yeah,
back and live just
yeah,
like anyone else. Well, no,
yeah,
they can't. They
yeah,
can't. Their options are severely limited. No one wants to hire a felon. You know,
yeah,
you got that for the rest of your life. You can't
yeah,
vote, you know, and it just makes it worse and worse and worse for them. So what are we actually doing for those people? I think that, you know, the answer for a lot of people, I mean, it's not just one answer, of course, but is addressing this over investing in the militarization of our local police department, you know, relying on these aggressive tactics to tackle crime instead
mhm,
of investing in communities, investing in housing, investing in healthcare, and investing in our people,
mhm.
so that they can, you know, live comfortably and raise a family just like
Right,
anybody else. They're just like anybody else.
right.
But we criminalize poverty.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
so
Yes. Yeah, you know, and it's in the laws, right? So like it's you brought up a good point about the broken tail light. You know, the broken tail light is a pretext for other things, right? It's not necessarily, yeah, is it a safety issue? Yes, you can argue that. But it's a pretext to stop people, see if there's anything else going on, you know, that you can possibly stop somebody and arrest them for, right? Like we could easily say, hey, let's create a citizens board or something that's watching out for broken tail lights, you know, pulling folks over, say, hey, look, you got a broken tail light here. If you don't know how to fix it, here, you can go to this location here,
yeah,
get that fixed, you know, show us that it's fixed. You're good to go. Why is that something that police need to get involved with? Right.
right,
You know, stopping people there's a pretext there, right? There is a, you know, if you have a broken tail light, that must mean you might have something else going on like drug use or whatever, right? So let's we could do stuff like that, you know, with health check-ins, for example, when you're not sure if somebody's doing right, instead of calling the police, why not have a medical professional come over to somebody's house, say, hey,
right.
is everything all right? You know, they know the signs. They you know, we can deputize them and say, hey, like we'll give you some certain kind of authority, but the main point is to check on people and you know use every de-escalation tool you can, right? You
Mhm.
know, there doesn't need to be um, police involved in everything, and even like in schools, you know, I know a lot of folks are proponents of SRO officers. I
Mhm.
know when I was in school as a black guy, as a black kid, I was a little uncomfortable with the idea of SRO. We can bring counselors. We need more counselors in
Yes.
schools, right? You know, like a lot of this stuff does not necessarily rely on police officers. I think we're overburdening police officers. We're asking them to do too much when there are things we can invest in. Uh, like I just said, that doesn't require them to get involved with. We need them to stop crime, right? We need them to do a very specific job, and we're asking them to do 20 other things. Um,
Right.
and I think that's the issue. So I think when people say defund or whatever, what they're really meaning is we need to reprioritize
Right.
because we're overburdening our police officers. We need to reprioritize exactly what is their mission, what is their goal, because a lot of these things can be done by community-led organizations. They can be done, you know, outside of the scope of policing, period.
No, yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And just like you were saying, we're over investing in these areas and we're under investing in other areas, and it's been happening for years and years and years and years and years. There's definitely a lot of people who have struggled economically, who have received benefit from the federal government, and there's other people who have been cut out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you know, we talked about redlining. Um, that's been a big issue. When you are consciously not investing in certain areas of your community, you can
Mm-hmm.
tell,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And you
Right.
know,
Right.
what one thing, you know, I live in Murfreesboro, and you
Uh,
know, to some people, it's just a magical little town in this one, you know, area. But you know, it doesn't take long to find that. not everybody lives the same way. And there's a lot of people who are suffering here, and they're just kind of ignored. They're just kind of pushed out of the way. And that's not going to solve any of their problems, and it's going to solve any of our problems. So we definitely need to reprioritize the money. Absolutely. And we've seen a big push from some folks here in Murfreesboro and folks in Nashville, leaning on the city government to reprioritize that money. I'm not expecting the state to do anything magical with any of this.
I think local is where it's at, right? You interact with your local police. You know them. You know them more, right? You know who they are more. You're more likely to interact with them. I think that is an excellent place to start. So you need folks writing letters, making phone calls to their city council people, their county commissioners. Obviously the state plays a role in that as well. But at the end of the day, we're dealing with local police officers, local officials that determine the budgets, right? You had, for example, Nashville increased their tax to 34%. Like, holy moly. Like, that sucks. Right? And but that's due to poor investments, right? So it's I don't want to go on a whole tangent on stadiums, because I think if you use tax dollars to invest in stadiums, that's a bad deal, because studies show that you're going to lose money, and the taxpayers are going to eat that. And then now look where Nashville is, but that's a whole thing. I'm running the state house here. But I think even at the state level, there are things that our government will invest in that's not a good return on investment. Like, would you do that personally? Would you put your money into a house you knew 10 years down the line would actually lose value and you wouldn't be able to sell? And no, you wouldn't.
Yeah.
It's just, it doesn't make sense. And there has to obviously be something else going on in the background. But it doesn't make sense. And so we need to just reprioritize. I think really prioritize everything. I think what this movement has shown us is that it is time to look at everything. It's time to question everything and see if there's a better way of doing stuff.
Yeah, because there absolutely is. And some of these people who talk a good game about being fiscally conservative, they're really not about that. They want to go and cut more of the budget for education and cut more of the budget for healthcare and other things. But they don't want to cut the budget for law enforcement. That's already, an over bloated budget. One thing that you were just talking about with the taxes, that was interesting, because we've had a similar problem here in Murfreesboro. Our taxes were raised. Was that last year? I think it was last year.
Yeah, not too long ago. Yeah.
Right. And it jumped like 30%. It was a big jump. And a lot of people were upset about that, rightfully so. Right. I think some people can afford it. I think some other people, that was a big hit. But that wasn't really explained to us was how we got to this point. How did we get here? Well, it turned out that just raising it that amount, it was still, the tax rate 20 years ago was double that in Murfreesboro. But they shrunk that tax rate down because Murfreesboro was living off the sale of these lands, these private lands that they had, to make up the medical center area and all that, the avenue and all that. They were living off the sale of all these lands, and they made taxes artificially low for everyone. Well, that was great, except, the good times are over. Who's going to be stuck with that bill? It's not, the guy who has a private island thanks to all the land deals that he's done in the past 20 years. It's the people who are struggling and have been struggling, and they're told to pull themselves up by their bootstraps when we don't like what they say. But we should be investing in those communities. And when it comes to this tax thing, we're not doing the right thing. A similar situation is with this landfill. We sell.
That's close to your heart, huh?
Yeah. I'm always talking about the landfill. We sell space to like 33 different counties in Middle Tennessee in that landfill. And because of that, Rutherford County gets a check from Republic Services, and which is so nice of them. I'm sure we're getting ripped off, but we get this check, and what we were supposed to be doing the last 25 years was putting that into recycling, a comprehensive recycling program, putting into a composting program, getting ready for the landfill to close, which has supposedly been, happening any day now. But then they just keep expanding. Instead, they've been using that money to make it stupid cheap for us citizens here in Murfreesboro to, throw away stuff. And that sounds nice, right? Oh, yeah, you're making it cheap for us to throw away stuff. Well, at the same time, again, we're not investing in strategies of what is going to happen if this landfill closes, or, maybe we shouldn't fill it up with a bunch of recyclable stuff.
Because we're only like what, 8 years or something, 8 or 9 years away from like it not being in use. Like, and then what are we going to do?
Every 2 to 4 years they say that, every 2 to 4 years they're like, oh, in the next 5 or 10 years we're gonna have to close up the landfill. And then once the the energy kind of dies down on that, people kind of calm down. They just, oh yeah, we're just gonna renew the contract. We're just gonna extend the contract again. And it is a major concern, especially if you live in that area. You see just how big it is, how stinky it is. The potential for a catastrophe is actually quite high. And a lot of Rutherford County people are kind of asleep on it because they're not in that area. And they're not.
You go to one of the convenience centers, you take your trash, you're done. That is your connection with the landfill. I think it would be interesting to see the full cycle of the landfill. So that's my suggestion to you as somebody that works for SOCM, as a volunteer. I think it would be like, where does this trash go once I, take it to the convenience center? What's it, where does it go? What happens around that? What do we call it? Mount Trashmore is the name for it. What happens there? Obviously I know they're very guarded, secretive. Of the trash situation. It's really fascinating, and I think a lot of people in the community don't realize what a fundamentally dire situation our trash pickup is going to be in. It's something we need to solve now, so we're not trying to make choices in a crisis, right? Because if we're making choices in a crisis because we're trying to solve a crisis, we're going to make a poor decision.
Exactly. And I mean, just like with the tax situation, the taxes have been artificially low for 20 years. All of a sudden, the craps hit the fan, and what do? We got to raise taxes. The same thing with this solid waste thing. We're getting all this money. We should be investing in strategies for how we're going to deal with solid waste in the future. Instead, we've been using it to draw down the solid waste budget, making it nice and cheap for everyone. Isn't that great? Well, guess what? It's bill time, and the fees have already gone up, and they're going to go up even more. And I'm telling you, it's a bad situation, and it's crawling into an even worse situation. And unfortunately, all of our local government heads, they're in bed with Republic Services, and they go along with whatever they do. Listen, I'm not like, oh my God, they're the worst, company in the world, and damn them. But, obviously they're comfortable. They're very comfortable doing whatever they want. They don't have to invest in, they have, Republic Services has a state-of-the-art recycling plant in Texas that they've opened up recently. And they got all the materials they recycle and process there, but it's a lot. And they could do a similar thing in Rutherford County, maybe on a smaller scale. But they're not even considering that because they would have to spend a lot of money in Rutherford County, and they're just making it. They've just said, hey, this is the place where we make money and nothing else. We're not going to invest any money into it. So, again, priorities. What are your priorities? Are you going to invest in the community so they can grow, or are you just going to make it easy for, business people who already have millions of dollars to make more money? I think that's, of course, things are more complicated than that, but
well, that kind of goes back to, we need to elect good people at the, at the local level. So going back to what that But that guy I was talking to was saying, I'm learning that down ballot races are important. Like, yes, sir,
Yeah.
yes, sir. You know, that
Right.
is that I think that's what that comes back to. So, you know, folks need to go get a petition, run for county commission, go get a petition, run for city county. If you didn't like the way the police treated those protesters, you need to go get your 25 signatures and run for office,
Yes.
right?
Right.
I will say it was kind of interesting to see, you know, Justin get arrested time and time again, and then there was that warrant thing, and like I think what was fortunate for him is he has people, elected officials that are sympathetic to the cause. We don't have that here in Rutherford County.
Right.
It's a you got to be real careful before you pull something like that. And so, you know, that's why it's really important if you believe that an unjust a decision was made very badly, you need to go get a petition, run for office, get elected. You know, I got endorsed by Run for Something. If you're
Yeah.
under the age 40, if this is your first time, second time running, they will help you run. They are all about local races, and you know, getting millennials into positions that they can make change. So that's my pitch. To it's not obviously the only solution, but I feel like to make lasting change, we need to get people elected that are going to do something about these issues, because it seems like this trash situation is just like there's no accountability.
Right.
That's I think that's what really weirds me out and really concerns me, is there seems like there's no accountability on what we're going to be doing for our trash. It just, obviously the state kicks it down the road. Oh, well, that's a local government issue. And then, the local government probably says, oh, well, the state won't let us do this. Right.
Mhm.
you
Right.
know, like, yeah, oh, we've been preempted or something. And so, okay, well, let's get people in here that are going to do what they need to do at the local level and do as much as they as they can do. And so that's why I'm push everybody that you think you need to run for office, run for office,
Yeah.
run for something will help you do it. If you're under 40 and for your first time running, they will help you do it.
Right. And, we got a first time candidate running in the Senate district that coincides with my district a little bit, Senate 14. Shane Reeves holds that seat. We got a new candidate named Chase Clemens, and he said he read that book, Run for Something, and that's what convinced him to run.
Okay. Yeah.
But, just like you said, we need more people to step up and run. It happens every 2 years. It's right around the corner. Every 2 years, there's new elections. All the state house, all the U.S. House people are up. Different Senate districts are up. In 22, we could get a new city mayor. We could get a new county mayor. We could get a new county sheriff. We could get all new county commissioners. That would be huge. We ran more Democrats for county commission in 2018 than we have in years. Well, they made it partisan. And this was that was the first year that we actually had a good amount of Democrats running, not just Shanto, who's a great Democrat. And we're really glad that he's on the county commission. But that's all we got is one Democrat. Yeah. So we ran some other candidates, and they did a great job. But I remember one guy got up there, and he said that he had been maybe he didn't say that, but he said he had been around for years. We found that he had been there for 40 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The county commission for 40 years.
Uh-huh.
And he had an opportunity to get up in front of people at a forum and, tell people about himself and about what he's done over the years. And all he said was, I've got a big record. Just check it out. Just check out my record. And I mean, he was given a couple different times to be like, you want to explain a little further? And he was like, oh no, just check my record. Well,
that's part of the problem. Like if you don't have people running to say, well, here, let me tell you what your record is. It's atrocious or whatever.
Right.
They're not held accountable. And I think our county commission, there's a lot of these folks that call themselves Republicans, these folks that call themselves small government, fiscally conservative. Like we can tell by their record that they're not. Honestly, that's ripe for opportunity for candidates to run to say, actually, you're not. And let me tell you why. This is why taxes have went up under your watch. is why, like, there are things there. We really need people out there, and that's why he's saying, "Oh, just look it up," because there's no accountability. He
Right.
feels he doesn't have to. He doesn't owe anybody anything because he's been there for 40 years and nobody has came close to unseating him. I'm assuming that is going to change.
I hope so. I hope so. I really do, because I think that he really hasn't done anything for the community that he represents, the district that he represents. And he's not alone. There's quite a bit of them on the county commission, and people are so asleep on this county commission. But man, it's, you're talking about the Rutherford County Sheriff's Department budget. That's a big deal right there. The Rutherford County School District budget. It's a big, school district. It's a lot of high schools now in Rutherford County. So I mean, like, those are just some of the many important decisions that they discuss and pass stuff over that benefit or doesn't benefit Rutherford County. And I don't know about you, man, but I'm just tired. I live in Rutherford County, right? Like, I'm trying to put this in a way, like, I mean, I hate to say that in rural areas you kind of expect that kind of stuff, it is unfortunate, but it's just like, man, Rutherford County, we're not that rural. There's a lot of people that live here. It's the 5th largest county in Tennessee. It's got MTSU. It's got Motlow. It's got these real colleges. It's right next to Nashville. So there's a lot of potential here. But I think that a lot of people are asleep, but they're waking up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think, yeah, I agree. I think point them to local elections. I think they're waking up on national issues. No knocking like CNN or anything, but we need to turn off CNN, turn off MSNBC, turn off the Fox.
Yeah.
We need to focus back on local reporting. You need to see you need to watch what's going on in your community, because we only get the highlights with the big news stations. It's just the highlights. It's not the, and folks need to read the details. And once you read the details and understand how your local government is something you interact with every single day, from road board on up to county commission, you'll probably pick off and want to do something about it.
Right. No, that's a really good point. And, it's not easy to be in journalism right now. It's hard to get a good job doing that stuff, but thankfully we do have some great State House reporters. I know Sam Stockard from Murfreesboro, he's still writing for the Daily Memphian. I think her name is Natalie Allison. She does a great job in the Tennessean. Nashville Scene, I don't know if they still have some State House writers, but I've read some great stuff over the years come out of Nashville Scene. WPLN, local radio station. That's who I follow on Twitter to know what's going on, especially days like today, like what the State House is working on. Sometimes, Gloria Johnson or John Ray Clemens helps keep you informed, but the other part of the story,
they're doing the work too. So yeah, they can't reporters, but job of keeping folks up to date on what's going on in the House. Yeah, for sure.
And, I'm thankful for representatives like London Lamar and Antonio Parkinson, who straight up called them out on their bullshit yesterday, because it was bullshit. And I'm glad that he did that. But it was funny. I was just reading a tweet, and it was like, do you remember when London Lamar called the state legislature racist and everyone got the vapors over it? And I was like, I do remember that. I think some people deserve to apologize to her. They won't, of course, but
yeah, it's, thinking of that now, it's like, oh, he said that like on the House floor. It wasn't just a live stream, and there's no uproar about that. So be some gender or whatever going on there, right? Gender plays a role, right? That's so fascinating, like, because they could easily be like trying to censure him, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Right? No, it's not. And you mean censor Antonio Parkinson?
Yeah. I mean, if they were going to be like, whoa, we don't like that. If they want to, she didn't curse. She just said something that was on her mind, right, on the live. And he said something on the House floor that could be taken as unbecoming of a House member, right?
Right.
Yeah, we haven't heard anything from him.
Well, I mean, they're mean. Those Republican House people, some of them are mean people, ugly, nasty people, and I can't imagine what it's like working with those folks. But you know what? If I'm elected, I will definitely try my best.
Yeah, you're going to be. Yeah, yeah.
and
So,
and see what we can do. But there needs to be a culture change,
yeah,
absolutely, from the top down. And even in the Republican Party, they've gone too far to the right. They've gone too far radical. We can't even have a conversation about health care. We can't have a conversation about education. They're just sitting there cutting it left and right. And when we bring up, certain points, they talk down to us. They dismiss us. Oh my Lord, I would never use language like that, right? But they're using language like that left and right, so they act like they're the victims, but they're usually the bullies. Anyway, we could sit here and talk about this all day, but I'm going to let you go. I know you got some stuff to do. Anything else you want to talk about before we end this conversation?
I think that's amazing. I'm getting okay.
What's that?
I'm from your computer, I think.
My computer?
Yeah, yeah.
No, it's you.
Folks, please definitely go to votebrandonThomas.com. We really need, we have an opportunity to flip this district, and we can't do it without your support. So please go to votebrandonThomas.com, donate if you can, sign up to volunteer. We have, like I said, have a real opportunity to flip this, and also think about running for office. I think this conversation shows us the importance of needing good people in leadership. Run for office, go to runforsomething.net, apply for the endorsement. They just have free resources, period, that you can check out. But if you do decide to run, apply for their endorsement, and they're going to help you in the way they can to win. They don't give you money. They just give you tools and tips, and you can connect with the network of folks, strategies and things like that. Because we need more people our age in local government. It's going to be ours anyway, so why not make the decisions on that?
Absolutely. I absolutely agree with that. And I'll go one step farther and say, if you are a Democratic leaning candidate in Rutherford County in Middle Tennessee and you don't know much about it, contact me, contact Brandon. He might be busy at the time because he's going to be in the state house and so am I. But, we would love to help out other Democratic leaning candidates in Middle Tennessee. It's going to take all of us. So thank you so much for joining me today, Brandon.
Thank you. I love these random. I don't get like other people because we're just too casual. You're like, hey, you want to do a live? Sure, let's do a live. So I don't get a fun, cool graphic.
Well, my graphics department is under the weather right now, so I know they're amazing. I know you've been enjoying the.
I really like the phone graphic that you made for the party. That was pretty sweet. I really liked it. Yeah.
Well, we can thank Chase for that. Actually, I just added the words. Chase.
Chase
came up with that graphic. So Chase Clemens, he's the man running in State Senate 14. We also got Mariah Phillips in 37, and Mary Vaughn in 34. But Brandon Thomas in 49 and Matt Ferry in 48. Man, we would have an amazing Democratic Rutherford delegation going into the state House and Senate next year. And I really, really, really think that we could do it. We have the opportunity to do it. People are sick and tired of what's going on. But we do need people's help. So if you're out there and you're listening, please consider donating to our campaigns or volunteering or just, we need you to talk to your neighbors and talk to your friends and get them out to vote for Democrats this year. So Brandon, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
All right, thanks.
We'll do the fun graphics next time. All right, I'll see you later.
All right, bye.